Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick! Pointed stick!
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick!
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick!
Pointed stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.
Okay, okay, I'm working. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I did not want to do this. But some people asked me to put the first one public, and oh my god, that brain melted me, man. I could hear myself. I listened to the end of that just to figure out where I'm at on this one, and I could hear myself losing my mind. Just kind of like just drained. I just sounded like I was like done. I think going into it, I was excited, and then towards the end there, man, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this no more. So let me get set up here real quick. Cause this shit's crazy. Shit's crazy. Do this just because I know there's a chance this gets pulled. So I just want to make sure it's not getting pulled mid live stream. So I'm watching myself live stream on another device. And so QAnon, right? I never believed QAnon. I never believed in this stuff. I believe there's parts of this that were probably true, you know. I mean, a lot of it was just like generic, like rah rah America stuff, and I get it. And so I think a lot of it was pretty basic, like, yeah, no shit. Like, that's the way I see it. But there was so much controversy around the QAnon stuff, like who it was and who it might be, and then who took it over after the first person got out. And, you know, that person might have been a grifter. And bro, there was so much to this that I'm just like, I don't know, man. I mean, you're anonymous. It's hard to take you seriously when you're just completely anonymous. I mean, not like the anonymous group that does shit, you know. This is just somebody saying shit, you know. This isn't action, right? So I don't know. I have issues with it, but I guess, you know, like I said, this was sent to me by a person that wanted to hear my opinions on it, and so I did it live stream, and I kind of did it so they would listen to it, and you know, and then I put it on private. Well, people seem to want to, I guess, hear it. So I put it back public. Maybe just because I don't do videos anymore, and you know, somebody wanted to see if what I was doing, but I don't know. I don't know why people want to see my opinions on QAnon, but here we go. Here we go. Let's do it. So this is where I left off. I believe this is where I left off. Up to this point, okay, before I start. Up to this point, I think you know, a lot of this was debunkable. A lot of it was QAnon debunking itself when it put the Hillary Clinton email up there, or the post about Hillary Clinton saying that she was going to get arrested or something like that. Obviously, that didn't happen. A lot of the events that QAnon posted did not happen. Some probably did. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of no shit kind of moments on here. You know, but I don't know. All right, let's see. Let's see what he's got to say now.
Service covering him, not knowing if there were more shooters. He broke protocol to put his head and fist up to say, fight, fight, fight. If he was going to die, he wanted those to be his last words.
Each of you enters service at a truly exciting time for our country. For we are witnessing the great reawakening.
So things like this, like, so that last one, you know, QAnon posted something saying fight, 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 right? Okay, so, I mean, that could be coincidental. I don't know. I mean, you know, what else you gonna say when you've just been shot? and you're on an election campaign. I mean, I don't fucking know. You know, I mean, he'd just been shot, dude, and he knew he'd been shot. I mean, I can't imagine like what's going through your head. Like, am I even gonna live through this? Like, am I about to fucking die? You know, and they even said that in this QAnon thing. You know, and for him to come up and say that, I don't know. I mean, that was a pretty insane fucking moment in our history that the media just doesn't want to talk about. Regardless of who it was, even if it was Biden, it would have been an insane moment, right? You know, you're trying the attempted assassination of a president is just insane. This Great Awakening thing, I don't know. See, like, I don't know. This was posted 2018. I don't know when he actually said this, when this whatever this is, you know, he's talking at when he said this. So I don't know. I don't know if this is something QAnon posted after he said this, or if this is something he posted. You know, they're not giving you the context.
With this strategy, we are calling for a great reawakening of America. Now we are calling for a great reawakening.
Like, if QAnon said it first, then okay. Then we have possible evidence that Trump was aware of the QAnon process. And I do think that he was aware, because he's terminally online. So I do think that he was aware at some point within this. But whether this is just something that QAnon posted after he said the Great Awakening and they just ran with it, or whether this is something, dude, he does have small hands. He's got small fingers, man. What's wrong with this guy? Yeah. Anyway, you know, but whether this is a QAnon following on what Trump has said, or whether it's Trump following on what QAnon said, that's kind of a big deal. But we need the context there, and I don't know what it is.
Of nations, for the revival of their spirits, their pride, their people, and their patriotism.
On September 19, 2017, Trump called for a great reawakening of nations in his UN speech. On October 6, 2017, Trump said it was the calm before the storm, and on October 28, 2017, Q dropped the first post.
You guys know what this represents? Well, maybe it's the calm before the storm. What's the storm? Could be.
Okay, so he said that before. Is that what we're saying here? He said that before QAnon even started posting? That's what it sounded like.
Calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room, I will tell you that. And we have great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
So, okay, that's kind of innocuous. And I'm guessing that we're gonna go back into what was on the earlier in this video, which was on the first video that I did, where QAnon is talking about how there's this group of great military leaders that are calling themselves Q or something like that. And I'm thinking that's what they're trying to fold this all together. As far as him saying the calm before the storm, I get it. I understand what he's trying to say there. Yeah, I mean, basically, it makes sense, and I'll be honest. I've used language like this before when getting involved in certain politics. Let's say, you know, local politics, I should say, which, you know, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Which didn't go very far for me, which didn't pan out right. Lost that, so it didn't end up happening. But I remember saying something similar, saying this is gonna be the longest fucking year of your life because things need to change and things are about to fucking change, which is kind of the same thing he's saying, except he's saying it more in a diplomatic tone. So I understand that. I understand what he's trying to say there.
You guys know what this represents?
And didn't he fire half of those people? Seems to me he fired half of those people. Because he did on the first run, he did fire the majority of the people he started with, and then he ended up getting all the swamp people in there. Let's see, was Trump asked to run for president? Why? I don't think he was, because he ran for president once before, dude. So I don't know if he actually was asked to run for president. I think it's something he's always wanted to do, and he's tried before, just like Biden. They've tried it before, dude, and they failed. And I forget what his first party was. Like oh god, what was it? Oh god, I used to know this too. But he ran a long time ago, dude, and I remember it because I was in high school when he ran, and we used to laugh about it. And that's how old I am. Yes, it was a very long time ago. And yeah, we always thought it was kind of funny that Donald Trump was running for president. We always thought it'd be funny if he actually won back then. Now that he did, it's like, wow, it's interesting. Let's see, why is Pope surrounded by highly respected generals? Come on, bro. Like, isn't every presidential person? I mean, for Christ's sake, dude, he's a Republican running for president, and he's a Republican that is president. Like, why would you not be surrounded by high-ranking generals? And I think anybody that makes general status within the military now, I know this isn't the case for people in the military, because I think a lot of people in the military don't respect their leaders from time to time. And you can just watch plenty of people talk about that. But yeah, I mean, you're going to be surrounded by the generals of the military, right? And plus, you're the guy who has to give them their rank. Like the president of the United States, I don't remember what rank it is, like after colonel or something. It might even be including colonel. Like you have to have a presidential decree in order just to rank up, if I remember right. So hell yeah, every high-ranking person in the military is gonna kiss ass to whoever is president at the time, no matter who the fuck it is. How is POTUS always 5 steps ahead? Is he? Is he really? Is he though? Is he? Okay, that's arguable. Who is helping POTUS? It seems like nobody, dude. It seems like everybody's against him. It really does, most of the time.
And somebody that's been with me from day one, he's a real general. You know, we have the real generals, and we have the fake woke generals that did so poorly in Afghanistan, should have all been fired. But this is a real general, Keith Kellogg. Right, Keith? And this is a great group. It's good to see you, Keith. He's been with me from before day one, right? He said, that guy should run. We got to get him to run. I like those guys. They were here before I ran. There's quite a few of them. General Flynn, along with General Kellogg and some of our other friends. We have so many friends. We have over 200 generals and admirals supporting us now.
Well, it's because you're part of the Republican Party, right? Like you're the Republican frontrunner. I don't know when. Like I don't know the context of this. Is this guy wearing a mask or something? Is this 2020 or something like that? If that was the case, like you already won. You were president at one point. Yeah, fuck yeah, you're gonna have generals fucking backing you. Especially against Biden. I mean, if I was in the military at that time and I was looking to rank up and I was looking for a president to rank me up, I would have taken Trump over Biden because I felt that Biden, I mean, even being a person that voted Democrat their whole life, I would have put my money on Trump winning that over Biden because I felt that Biden, like I said, even voting Democrat my whole life, I felt that Biden was unelectable. I felt that Biden was not a presidential candidate. I was kind of, to be honest with you, I was pissed off at the Democrat Party. Now, this is just my personal politics, but and you can take them for what they are. But I was pissed off the Democrat Party for putting Biden in there, that they didn't put somebody else in there. I mean, I think anybody, would have been better than Biden. So yeah, I would have backed Trump too, completely, totally. You know, if my career depended on who was president, and it was Trump running against Biden, I would have thought Trump was going to win over Biden.
17 congressional.
And I did, even just as a civilian, I felt Trump was going to win over Biden.
Medal of Honor winners endorsed me. When I first came here, I was only in Washington 17 times a month.
Well, of course it did, because like, you know, the military was having issues. He was building up the military, and the Democrats have been tearing down the military. So yeah, of course they do. Of course. Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't, you know, endorse him over Biden.
On December 9th, 2017, at 10:30.
Plus, Biden's pick for military leadership was not good. Like, you watch the military people on YouTube, and they'll tell you they did not like Milley at all. Like, it's hard to find someone that actually thought Milley was worthy of the position he got. It's really hard to find anybody in the military that believed that. Let's see. We love U.S. military on behalf of the entire nation. Thank you for your sacrifice and service. Timestamp. How many clues must we provide? So the first part of that is innocuous, doesn't mean anything. It's, I think, a sentiment everybody has. How many clues must we provide? I don't know what that means. I'm not a 4chan person, so I don't know a lot about 4chan, so I don't know what the top of that is. What it's pointing to there, that are, like I said, we love our U.S. military. Of course we do. Everybody does. Everybody should.
Before, Q posted a quote thanking the military. Then Q pointed us to timestamps, and let us know a proof was incoming. 3 hours later, Trump tweeted the exact same thing without the quotation marks. Q quoted Trump's Army-Navy game tweet 3 hours before he posted it.
All right, hold on one sec. Let's go back here. Okay. So he does have the thank you in caps. So he does have thank you in caps. He does, yeah, he did. He copy and pasted this.
On February 22nd, 2019, Q posted the best is yet to come.
Now, to me, it's interesting, right? The most interesting thing about this to me was Trump paying attention to this QAnon stuff? And it almost seems like he might possibly have been. Was he catering to the QAnon community? I don't know why he would have had to, because they were already on his side from the beginning of this. But I don't know, man. I always thought, I remember in the beginning, and I said this in the first round, I always thought that like QAnon might have been possibly somebody related to Trump, somebody within his circle there. But again, QAnon was not always correct. So towards the end there, especially, they started getting things way wrong. And I think the name, the person changed behind the account. So I don't know.
My fellow Americans, for our movement, for our children, and for our beloved country. And I say this, despite all that's happened, the best is yet to come.
For we still believe that the best is yet to come.
On June 13th, 20.
That's an innocuous statement as well, right? The best is yet to come, dude. You can say that at somebody's wedding. In fact, I've said something very similar as a best man at somebody's wedding. It's an innocuous statement, dude. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What is this?
20. Q posted, seeing is believing. Sometimes you can't tell the public the truth. You must show them. Only then will people find the will to change. It had to be this way. This is not another 4-year election. 2020 to 2024 has been called.
You didn't say the God wins part, man. What's wrong with you?
The pause. Let the deep state steal 2020, and let the people see for themselves. In 2022.
Okay, so that was QAnon walking back. They're being wrong about the 2020 election, because the 2020 election, I believe QAnon was saying that Trump was. I believe, if I remember right, and I could be wrong about this, but if I remember right, QAnon actually said during the 2020 election that after the election that Trump actually won and that Trump is going to be installed into the White House regardless of Biden's victory within that election itself. And again, it doesn't matter what you believe as far as how the election played out. I'm not talking about that. Whether you believe it's stolen or not, it doesn't matter in this context. But I believe QAnon was saying that at one point the Marines were gathering, and I think it was at Fort Knox, if I remember right, because I remember thinking, why Fort Knox of all places? That the Marines were gathering to take back the Capitol from Joe Biden. And I mean, and to be honest, like the people behind Joe Biden were probably watching all this Q stuff also. I'm sure everybody was, because at this point it was in the media. And that might be why the entirety of Washington, D.C. was basically locked down and looked like a giant military compound during his election. But I don't know.
Trump confirmed it.
One of the important factors of the pause is that we see how bad they've done. So we will be able to do it properly, and it will be much easier. Everybody will agree with us because everybody sees what a bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period.
Come on, dude. That was too fast. I'm not a fast reader, man. Never have been. Watermark ballots in over 12 states have been part of a huge Trump and military white hat sting operation in 12 key battleground states. Wait, what? So I kind of remember something about the watermark ballots that never panned out to my memory. But I believe they're saying that the ballots were watermarked so that they could see which ones were fake and which ones weren't. But I don't think Trump had a huge. Now, maybe this will come to pass because he is dealing with the 2020 election still to this day. But I don't think he ever had any jurisdiction over looking through the ballots. That's a state thing. So I don't think that ever came to pass, at least not to this point in today's date.
Bad job has been done during this 2-year period, and it will be a 4-year period.
Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, elected officials, bureaucrats, social media censorship mongers, fake stream media reporters, etc., are being arrested and detained. Are they though? Are they? I mean, a few people I think went down for that. There was like a handful of people, and they were nobodies. They were just people who dropped a bunch of ballots off at ballot boxes that went down. But the people who counted the ballots, to my knowledge, I don't think any of them have been arrested. The people who worked in those I think it was Georgia? Was it Atlanta? The people who worked in those little centers there, I don't think anything happened to them. Like, so Biden crime family and ballot fraud co-conspirators, right? Has anybody from the Biden family been arrested other than Hunter Biden? And Hunter Biden was not arrested for any of this at all. And I don't think Hunter Biden honestly had anything to do with this. I think Hunter Biden was just sacrificial lamb for the Biden family to go after the Bidens. He had a, he obviously broke the law, but and he was given pretty much nothing for it. But I don't think I don't think anybody has been really, anybody in a major capacity has been arrested and detained for ballot fraud, for any kind of conspiracy based off ballot fraud. So this is a nonsense. So this Washington Post, which Washington Post, everything's true that they say. I don't think that's Virginia Thomas text to Mark Meadows. Okay, so that explains what the context is here. Don't know much about these two, so I'm not too worried about it. But obviously this was not true. At least as far as I'm concerned, this wasn't true. You could probably use some mental gymnastics to say that there were a couple people that were arrested for ballot fraud, but as of this point, no. And this was March 24th. I'm guessing 2022, somewhere around there.
Everybody sees that. It will be much easier for us to do what has to be done.
Those text messages were sent from the wife of Supreme Court.
For ballot fraud right now and over coming days, and we'll be living in barges off Gitmo to face military tribunals for sedition. Really, bro? Really? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Oh my God! Where the fuck did you get this information? Where did you get this information? Like, what are we talking about? Barges off of Gitmo? We're gonna sit there and just. Why wouldn't you just put them in Gitmo at that point? You're gonna put them in barges and you're just gonna float them around off Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Why would you do that? I mean, I understand the whole idea behind Gitmo, right? It's Cuba, it's foreign country, therefore you're not subject to the laws of America, so you cannot ask for a trial, you cannot, demand a trial, you do not have a right to an attorney, you don't have any rights that you have as an American citizen because you were technically not in America. So it's kind of a gimmick. At least that's my understanding of Gitmo. And the reason we put all the terrorists over there. But has anybody faced a military tribunal for sedition? Anybody? Anybody? At all? Anybody? And I don't believe the barges. I don't believe that's the thing.
Justice Clarence Thomas.
Wait, what did you just say, bro?
For us to do what has to be done.
Those text messages were sent from the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas.
Were they though? Because this says Virginia Thomas. Unless Clarence Thomas' middle name is Virginia. Were they? Were they really? What are we talking about here? This says Virginia Thomas to Mark Meadows. Oh my God, am I gonna have to do homework? I'm gonna have to do homework, aren't I? Let's see, who's Virginia Thomas? I swore I was gonna do homework on any of this. Let's see, Virginia Thomas, American conservative activist in 1987. She married Clarence Thomas. Okay. Became an associate judge of the Supreme Court of the United States. Okay. To Mark Meadows. Okay. All right. I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
I looked at past inaugurations.
But it wasn't from him. It was from his wife.
As far back as George Bush, not once did the military walk up and stand behind the president. The man on the right is a judge advocate general, and the man on the left is military intelligence. What Trump says when they're standing behind him is also important.
Is that true? Is that true? Military intelligence, cap braid, judge advocate general. They seem really young. Hey, how you doing, Angela? How you doing? They seem really young to have that kind of I mean, so military intelligence doesn't mean much, right? It could be yeah, there could be a lot of people involved in military intelligence. So yeah, you could have some new recruits in that. Judge advocate general, what? It cuts off.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning. Because today, we are not merely transferring power from one...
Now, I will say this, man. Trump does a lot of showman stuff. So this could be legit. This could be totally legit, what he's doing here. And what they're saying here, I wouldn't doubt would be legit because Trump does a lot of this weird stuff, right? So I believe it was during his debate with Hillary Clinton, he brought in a bunch of the girls that had him sit in the front row who had supposedly had sex with or had affairs with her husband just to throw her off. So Trump does a lot of weird stuff. So yeah, this could be legit. This could be legit.
Administration to another, or from one party to another. But we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
On November 1st, 2017.
Are you really though? Are you really though? Like, come on, bro. Like, we've been asked for the Epstein files. The people who voted you in have been asked for the Epstein files and gotten nothing. I mean, we've gotten some of it, but we got a bunch of redacted fucking nonsense, right? And they're still protecting the people in those files. We were promised the JFK files. All we got was some what was it? The Commission for Presidential Assassinations or something, based off of Congress back in 1969, 79. It's 79. It was 79. And that's all we got, as far as the JFK files. We didn't get all the JFK files. We didn't get any of the Martin Luther King files yet, which were promised during the election cycle. We were promised all the RFK files. We didn't get any of those that were promised during the election cycle. You would think the order of importance that this would have come out in, least important first, you would have got the RFK first, which, sorry, RFK, but you are the least important of these people, followed by JFK, followed by MLK, and then finally Epstein, because we're finding out that Epstein is massive. Let's see. The only way is the military, fully controlled, save and spread. Once 11.3 verifies as first marker, biggest advance drop on poll. I don't know what any of that means, really, to be honest with you. I just don't. But yeah, I mean, you control the military, you control government. I mean, that's how coups are formed.
Q posted, the only way is the military, once 11.3 verifies as first marker. Some people assumed it was an arrest date, but they were way off. 11.3 is a section in the DoD Law of War Manual discussing belligerent occupation of a country. And of occupation and duration of Geneva Convention obligations. The status of belligerent occupation ends when the conditions for its application are no longer met. Certain Geneva Convention obligations with respect to occupied territory continue for the duration of the occupation after the general close of military operations. End of occupation. Belligerent occupation ceases when the conditions for its application are no longer met. In particular, as discussed below, the status of belligerent occupation ceases when the invader no longer factually governs the occupied territory or when a hostile relationship no longer exists between the state of the occupied territory and the occupying power. Belligerent occupation ends when the occupying power no longer has effectively placed the occupied territory under its control. For example, an uprising by the local population may prevent the occupying power from actually enforcing its authority over occupied territory. Similarly, the occupying power's expulsion or complete withdrawal from the territory would also suffice because the former occupying power generally would not be able to control sufficiently the occupied territory.
All right, so the problem with what this whole thing is, and I understand, I'm guessing what the whole QAnon idea behind this is, or what this person's idea behind this is, whoever's making this, is that they're saying the belligerent occupation ceases when the conditions for its applications are no longer met. They're basically attributing this to the United States in general, and to various states within the United States, I'm guessing, such as, and there's only one example where I think this actually will make sense. But just to explain, I think what he's trying to say is something like Portland, Oregon, that is under complete just fucking madness. California, whose governor is running it into the ground. Washington State, same thing we're having there. What we had going on in Minneapolis until the governor started playing ball over there. the lawlessness within these states and the failure of governors to govern their states. But the problem with this whole thing is this is based off the Geneva Convention, not the American Constitution. This is not about America. This is about the Geneva Convention. So this is about when they're talking about the state within the confines of the Geneva Convention, they're talking about America as general, but they're also talking about South Africa, the Congo, Brazil, Venezuela. They're talking about stuff like that. This is not an American thing because this is the Geneva Convention. This has nothing to do with the American Constitution. It's a Geneva Convention. So we're talking about worldwide stuff, right? So if you want blue helmets on the streets of America in the name of NATO, then yeah, I think this would probably be a thing. But that's not what we're talking about here. So he's going off of something very strange. I think he kind of pulled this out of his ass. He just found something with 11.3 that he felt that matched what he feels his vision of society in its current. The only thing I think that this would apply to was the Chaz and Chop zone, right? Once you called that the autonomous zone, then all of a sudden that stops becoming a part of you had a coup within the country. The Chaz zone, those 4 blocks or whatever it was, were no longer a part of the United States at that point. It was the president's duty to deal with that, right? He could have bombed the shit out of those 4 blocks. He could have nuked those 4 blocks, and it would have been within his justified power to do so. But he wasn't going to do that because it's technically still part of America, and it wasn't going to last very long, obviously. But this I don't think applies because this is Geneva Convention. This isn't the Articles of the Constitution. So I don't think this applies to I don't think this means what you think it means to this person.
Rest in peace, Mr. President, JFK. Through your wisdom and strength, since your tragic death, patriots have planned, installed, and by the grace of God, activated the beam of light. We will forever remember your sacrifice. May you look down from above and continue to guide us as we ring the bell of freedom, and destroy those who wish to sacrifice our children.
Okay, you're reaching there, bro. You're seriously reaching there. Yeah, obviously that road goes down here and does this thing. Yeah. I mean, you can make this look like an onk if you wrote the lines correctly. I mean, you can make it look like all kinds of things. You're stretching. That's a stretch. The bell on JFK Jr.'s boat. Where we go one, we go all. That's strange, but I would need some proof of that. I mean, that was a thing for a while there. They were saying where we go one, we go all. That was, I mean, I believe Flynn said that. And I don't know if Flynn started that term. I don't know if it's a military term. In fact, let's see if that is. I'm gonna get flagged on all kinds of stuff. Let's see. Should I spell this right? Okay, was the phrase is associated with the QAnon conspiracy theory. It originated from a line spoken by a character in the 1996 film White Squall, where it's said by Captain Christopher Sheldon. The phrase has been attributed to President Kennedy and is often used by QAnon followers. Okay, so it's attributed to Kennedy. So yeah, it's attributed to John Kennedy. So that makes sense. Makes sense it would be on his boat. Totally makes sense. Without being any kind of Q conspiracy, it totally makes sense.
Our way of life, and our world. We, the people.
So totally unrelated to QAnon. It's just QAnon took that later and tried to make it theirs. So yeah, totally unrelated.
This has never been attempted before. The use of the general public to counter the propaganda pushed by the controlled media. Analysis indicates that situational awareness of the general public is expanding at a massive pace.
Okay, you're skipping lines here, bro. And I don't like that because you're taking things out of context. This has never been attempted. When was this? This was 2020, 6/24. So this was at the height of the George Floyd riots, I believe. Because that happened was in May, I believe. So this was the pandemic, the riots, all that stuff was happening. So yeah, America was in chaos at this point. This has never been attempted. The use of general public to counter the narrative propaganda pushed by controlled media. It wasn't really being used at that point, though, because, like you said, we're talking about the George Floyd riots. So the general public and the narrative was the media. Let's see, analysis indicates situational awareness. Of course, this could have been, let's see, when did the because the big turning point for Black Lives Matter and most of that nonsense was when the abolish the police started. Early 20th century, but it became structural in the wow, the ACLU's been trying to do this. So for those people, like there's been people who have told me that we are living in the worst times in American history, that we are living in the most chaotic times in American history. I don't think that's true, and I don't think it's ever been true. It's the most chaotic time in our part of the history. But it says in 1928, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union, of all people, oh, they've always been shitlords, obviously. Issued a pamphlet highlighting police abuse and discussing the concept of abolishing the police, indicating early advocacy for police reform. Now, that's not what I'm looking for, but that is interesting to know. Okay, so we're talking about 2020. The George Floyd Minneapolis on May 25th, 2020 calls to defund the police began. Okay, so that was in May. I want to know when it went to abolish. So I got one here from June 12th of 2020, a Vox article. So this is June 24th. Yeah, so this was okay. So what's going on here, and what this person is not stating. Okay, so let's finish reading this first. Analysis indicates a situation where decoupling of MSDNC control of information channels 1 through 99 of general public expanding at massive pace. Attacks indicate can be defined as loss of generalized information control, need to expend ammunition, muster network to defend coordinate attacks to counter. MILCIV Alliance. I don't know what the fuck that means. But basically what was happening at this time was the abolish the police movement was just starting, right? It was 4 days into it, according to the Vox article. And so, or at least after this Vox article, which it may have started even before that. I don't remember when. I believe Ilhan Omar went out and started this whole "we need to abolish the police department" bullshit, and then was backed by AOC, I believe, as well. But it was about this time, right, that this was hitting, right? This was destroying Black Lives Matter, and it's what destroyed Black Lives Matter, right? So Black Lives Matter, originally when they started, they had I forget what it was. It was up there in the high 60% rate as far as people backing them within society, right? They're polling positively because at the time it wasn't even defund the police. It was originally was reform, police reform, and everybody agreed with police reform. I think the majority of people out there will, yeah, I think even police will agree with police reform, that things need to change within that. And then what you ended up with was, you know, my personal conspiracy behind all that is that I think this was all done on purpose to limit the power of the Black Lives Matter movement. I think in the beginning they were very useful to the Democrat Party and to the powers, well, not even Democrat Party, let's just say the powers that be. And because I don't believe it's just Democrats that are doing this. I do believe that they're the main ones that are profiting from it, but I think that I think there's a little bit of a uniparty system within America that you know, all kind of works together. And so when you had the reform of the police, I think everybody was on board, right? They had a very high approval rating for Black Lives Matter at that point because, you know, even people, you know, like me, you know, I was part of this. I felt that that was a good thing, that this was a positive direction to go in, to reform the police department, to put awareness on the police department that there are problems here and they need to be fixed because, you know, police are not perfect. They never will be, but we can strive for a more perfect world within that system. And we should always strive for that instead of just giving into it is what it is. And then it turned into, well, you know, now that you have a 67% approval rating or whatever it was at the time, I'm just pulling these numbers out of my ass because I don't remember. This was a long time ago, but they did have a high approval rating. Well, the problem is they had a lot of power, and you know, people in power don't like to share power. So, you know, then it went to defund the police, right? Defund the police departments, which probably helped a lot of people, right? Because if you're defunding the police departments, which has got to be a huge drain on, you know, a lot of cities, a lot of major cities, if you're defunding the police department, that's more money to mess with, man. That's more money that you could do shady things with. So, you know, you ended up with this defund the police narrative. Now, BLM started to decline at that time, right? Because a lot of people didn't like that idea. But then, you know, Tucker Carlson came out, and I remember when this happened, he came out and said that BLM was the biggest political party in America, and BLM could actually run somebody for president and win against both parties, against anyone, because their approval rating was so high, and people were so fervent about backing them. And all of a sudden, you ended up with abolish the police. Now, abolish police took BLM all the way down to, I think it was a 13% approval, right? So they went from being at the top to being all the way at the bottom. And then shortly after that, it started just completely just disintegrating. And they had zero approval after that. So, you know, this was about that time. This is about that time. And to tie this all in, analysis indicates situational awareness, decoupling of MSD, and see control of information of general public expanding at massive pace. Yeah, because you push this thing, you got it all the way up to 67%, and the obviously, you know, MSNBC, all these mainstream media channels were pushing that like hardcore, even after, you know, the abolish movement. They were pushing that very hardcore. And all of a sudden people started to see through it and say, no, nah, dude, you know, we're not down for abolishing the cops. Nobody wants to abolish the police, man. I mean, even the people, sorry, getting a freaking call here. Even the people who were backing that organization, you know, when all that crazy shit was going on, those people didn't want to abolish police. Nobody wants to abolish police. You watch these clowns running around protesting, doing all their fucking nonsense. They're screaming at the police to arrest people. They don't want to abolish police. That's a joke. So, whatever, man. So this, I don't think this has anything to do with what he's actually saying. So let's see what his context is over this. But he's going to put some weird context over this, and I think that is the exact context. Is at this point, people started losing interest in the media because the media was pushing a narrative that was going to damage society and damage their lifestyles.
Attacks indicate the loss of generalized information control by the mainstream media, military, and civilian alliance.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario. This is information warfare.
I still don't like the fact they use the Punisher logo, man. I mean, come on, dude. Don't destroy the Punisher.
I could go on and on with Q proofs, but like I said earlier...
Yeah, you haven't proved nothing yet, bro. Nothing. Nothing.
The truth is learned and never told. A lot of people are asking now, how was Q foretelling all these events years before they happened? I'll answer this question.
Because he wasn't. That's the point. He wasn't. He was wrong about so much.
With another question. Do you know what the outcome is of a movie if you are directing the movie? If you have control of all the information, can you direct? Yep, that's a hard one to grasp. Many Anons still struggle with that one.
I love how this is like a schoolhouse, like it just feels like a schoolhouse, something you'd watch in school, like, and you'd fall asleep to.
Q says over and over, patriots are in control, but not everything is under control.
See, I have issue with that, man. Like, okay, so I hate that word. I hate that word. And I'm going to go off on a tangent here. I'm going to rant about this shit because this pisses me off. You are not a fucking patriot if you're out there with a fucking bullhorn on the street corner fucking yelling at, owning the fucking libs, dude. You are not a fucking patriot. That's not what that fucking word means, man. You know, it drives me fucking nuts, dude. You could say somebody is is patriotic and a patriot. Now, there's a difference, I believe, between being patriotic and being a patriot, right? A patriot is a person who got a gun back in the day and decided to fight the biggest army on the planet to create something that they had no idea what it was going to turn out to be like. And that turned into the United States of America. That was a patriot, a person who's willing to put their life on the line to fight the biggest, most powerful, badass army in the fucking world and eventually dominate them. That was a patriot. The person that left their home, left their family, had basically, God, I get like fucking weepy over this shit. You know, basically was willing to fight on their front lawn against the British Army. That was a patriot. You know, it's not some idiot with a fucking bullhorn, you know, sitting in Portland, fucking screaming at fucking libs, dude. I don't give a shit about that. You know, now you can say that, you know, you joined the army. Holy shit. Yeah, you joined the military. Yeah, I'll call you patriot all day long, dude. You're willing to defend this country. You're willing to die for my life and my lifestyle. Yeah, full on, dude. You can have that. You can own that title. You play for the football team. Okay, you can call yourself a patriot. But bro, like, no, dude, sitting in your house, typing on the internet, owning the libs on TikTok or social media is not being a patriot. Making YouTube videos is not being a patriot. Sitting on a street corner with a bullhorn is not being a patriot. Getting into a fight with a person on a street corner over this stuff is not being a patriot. That is not, you are not, okay, so here's the deal, right? When the left started calling everybody a fucking Nazi because they didn't agree with them, right? They fucking just disagree with you, so they call you a fucking Nazi. They just decide to call you a fascist, a Nazi, a fucking white supremacist, whatever the fuck kind of bullshit they want to call you. It demeans the term, right? Because that term means something, or used to mean something. It doesn't mean anything anymore, right? People, you call somebody a Nazi and laugh about it these days. It doesn't fucking mean anything, but there was a time when that term actually fucking meant something. That was an evil fucking term. That was a bad thing that those were the bad guys. Nowadays it's just somebody that disagrees with a fucking liberal on the internet, dude. That's what a fucking Nazi is considered. It doesn't mean anything anymore. So it demeans the fucking term. It kills the fucking term. You're doing the same thing with patriot. You're demeaning that term. Whereas at one point, that term used to mean, like I said, a person that was willing to fight and die for their country, that would go and, fight in whatever conflicts the country asked them to fight in, and for the sake of the lifestyle of the United States of America, to keep the United States of America, part of the free world. And to go out there, like I said, with a fucking bullhorn and call yourself patriot. I mean, I've been in chat rooms where people are watching these protests and shit, calling themselves patriots, calling the people that are sitting there, eating hot dogs at the fucking 7-Eleven in the middle of fucking Portland, Oregon, calling themselves patriots. And it's like, no, dude, that's not what that word fucking means. And it drives me fucking nuts that people are just diminishing that word to the point where it doesn't really mean anything anymore. Kind of like Nazi, white supremacist, all these fucking words, these terms that people use for just dumb shit. And it drives me fucking berserk.
Watch the excerpt from Real Justice.
See, like these people, right? Real AF patriot, real as fuck patriot. Now, I don't know if this guy was in the military. Maybe he was. Maybe this Justice Cometh guy was in the military. I don't know who any of these people are. This person at the bottom, don't know who the fuck they are. But yeah, you're calling yourself a fucking patriot. Why? What did you do to earn this? What the fuck have you done in your fucking life to earn that fucking title? You come on a fucking podcast and you talk. So through your words, you're calling yourself a patriot. You're fighting the good fight. No, dude, nah. It doesn't work that way. Like you're killing that fucking word. You're doing the exact opposite to that word of what you think you're fucking doing. You're not defending anything. You're just making shit fucking worse. Drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely fucking berserk, dude. Because I think our military and the people that fight and die for this country, the people are willing to do what I wasn't willing to do because I was never in the military. Those people deserve the respect. And this is just crazy disrespectful to me.
With Real AF Patriot. Myself and we know from X, to sum it up.
Into reading those scriptures and making sure that we understood them.
So this is the guy I believe talking. I believe he said me and we know. So I believe this is the guy that's talking on this.
I got a question for you. As far as the Q operation, are you, I'm not entirely sure, are you a full control guy? And if so, what do you consider full control? Because some of us have a little bit of a different opinion on that.
What do you mean full control?
As if basically, I mean, not only the Patriots being in full control of the media, which you kind of alluded to earlier with the 17%, but...
So there you go again. Patriots being in full control of media. What are you talking about, bro? The fuck are you talking about? Like, I hope, I could be wrong about this guy. Maybe he was in the military. Maybe he really was. I don't know. I don't have any context to this. I don't know this guy.
Also, kind of like everything's already happened. All the investigations have already happened. And everything is kind of just being shown to us now in a methodical way.
But if he was not a military guy, this is the most demeaning, degrading, and just it's fucking horrible. He's a horrible fucking human being if that's the case. I hope, like I said, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he was in the military. I hope this guy was actually, doing the right thing, but I don't know. I don't have any context.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. What do I think about that?
yeah.
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, it's a
No,
horrible
no, no.
question.
Not trouble. No. I mean, yeah, we're having a dialogue now.
Yeah.
Look. I'm all on board with the Q drops. I'm also fully aware that Dan Scavino, President Trump, and some others, when they post stuff and we look at their timestamps, they're continuing to talk to us directly.
Mhm.
And they're letting us know what's going on behind the scenes. And they're doing the best they can. If we had full control, then why would President Trump come out and start screaming with cuss words that they don't know what blank they're doing?
That had to do with Israel. Are you saying we should be in full control of the world? Because that had to do with Israel. That didn't have to do with the United States of America. So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about having control of the world? That's weird. That's weird. Yeah, I mean, what happened to America first, bro? What the fuck happened to America first? I thought that's what we were about, dude. I thought we were about getting out of the foreign fucking wars and doing. I thought that was the Donald Trump thing, right? Is we're supposed to get out of the foreign fucking wars, get ourselves out of all the bullshit, and do America fucking first, dude. We're gonna fucking just worry about America, right? It seems like we've done the exact polar opposite under Donald Trump, and this guy's even mentioning that exact fucking sentiment, right? They don't know what the fuck they're doing. That had to do with Israel bombing Iran immediately after we bombed Iran and we took out their nuclear facilities. So what are we talking about here? What is this? Oh God, this is just pissing me off.
Why would all of a sudden this rogue missile go up in the air and all of a sudden you've got this country that wants to go demolish a whole city because of one missile going up in the air? Who shot that missile? Why?
Now I don't know what they're talking about right there. I don't. I'm trying to remember what he's talking about, but I don't remember.
Where did it come from? Who controls that part? Was it part of some movie that we're supposed to believe? If we were part of some movie, then how come people died in Afghanistan when we were withdrawn from there? If we're in full control, then you're telling me full control means that we allowed those people to die? Are you following me? My method of this? So
I'm not following you, dude. I am totally not following you.
Yeah.
So I'm not on a boat of it's all scripted out. It's just a complete movie. I think that we could be watching a movie in a sense of, yes, there are controlled parts to throw off the enemy that has still some control of some aspects of what's going on. And they're getting thrown off to an extent that they have no clue who's wearing a mask and who's not.
Oh my God, dude, my brain is rotting. I'm seriously losing brain cells here. I'm trying to understand what he's saying, and I think I do understand what he's saying. Is he's trying to say that there's some global cabal, which there probably is. I'm sure there's something going on out there, especially with the Epstein releases, stuff like that. It looks like there is something like that going on here. But he's trying to say this is all some big kabuki theater where, we're all just following a playbook. And I don't know how far down that slippery slope this person is willing to go, with his explanation here. But to say that, okay, Afghanistan was something, the instance he used is Afghanistan. Afghanistan was something that was set up as, I don't know if I want to call it a false flag, but we were going to go into Afghanistan. This was going to happen. And we had a certain game plan with Afghanistan, and the rest of the world had a game plan with Afghanistan. And this was all something that was scripted and meant to happen in the way that it did happen. and he's trying to say, is the U.S. the ones that are, I think he's trying to say, is the U.S. the ones that are in control of that? And that's, I think, the argument he's placing right here. But I don't like that argument. I just don't.
Wearing a mask. We could talk about that for hours. We could get into Biden. We can get into that whole system of, okay, there are guys out there saying, hey, I forgot his name, but there's a guy that does a great job in saying, look at these military drops showing that President Trump kept the continuity of government, and that Biden was never in charge, that President Trump was actually the president behind the scenes.
What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You drop a bombshell like that? Really, bro? Like, so for between 2020, so what he just stated was between 2020 and 2024, President Biden was not actually in control, which we kind of know that that's probably the case. But that Trump was in control behind the scenes, that Trump was like, had his hand up Biden's ass and was controlling Biden? No, bro. Okay, so is Trump, everybody's got to figure this out for themselves. Is Trump an outsider that is pushing his way into a system that has been running a certain way for a long period of time, and has continually been corrupted? Or is Trump just another part of this deep state swamp bullshit? Because what this guy is saying right here, which I think goes against everything that this video has pushed forward so far, is he's trying to say that Trump was in charge of Biden. So we're all on the same team here. Everybody's on the same team. I mean, it should be that way, right? Because this is America, right? He won the election. He was our president, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. Trump, same thing. He's our president, whether you like it or not. It is what it is. There's a lot of people don't like it. That's tough shit. It is what it is. And same thing with Biden. But to say that Trump was controlling Biden, that's nonsensical, man. That doesn't make any sense.
I struggle with those.
You should struggle with it because it makes no sense.
It's not like I'm fully on board and go, oh, that's it. Yep, that's it. That's what's going on. I'm actually still on that side of, man, I need to keep researching because I'm not really sure how this thing is playing.
No, you don't, because it's fucking ridiculous, bro.
Out. I'm going to do the best I can to get information out. And
what, are you going to go online and Google search or AI search, was Trump controlling Biden during 2020, 2024? You going to Google search that shit? Is that how you're going to research that? Come on, dude. Really? Are you fucking kidding me?
Not be dogmatic about it, but say, hey, I'm still trying to do my research. What I am dogmatic about is, if anybody out there who has big followers on social media platforms start saying, well, I don't think I'm going to vote for Trump anymore. Oh, Trump made a mistake by picking this person. Oh, Trump should have never done that. I start warning people like, man, if you're going to start doing that and going against the guy who's running the show here and has the intel guys behind him doing it all, that's where I struggle with, hey, don't go that far with me, because that's where I'm very dogmatic.
Yeah, did you have that kind of energy when Biden was in charge? Because what you said was, you know, you should respect the office. Basically is what he's saying. To paraphrase it, is you should respect the office. This guy's in charge. You should follow his lead. And he has all the people behind him that are, you know, that are running the show with them, right? That are helping him out. And did you have that kind of energy when Biden was in charge? You know, because Biden was running the show for 4 years, and he had all those people behind him, whether you liked him or not. You know, he had those people behind him. So I don't know, man. This seems kind of counter whatever.
I really believe President Trump was sent by our Heavenly Father. I don't worship the guy. I talk about it all the time, right? How many times we said we don't worship this guy? He's human, and he'll make mistakes too. Moses made mistakes. We don't worship Moses. Moses, what did he do? He got angry and took that stick and hit the rock, and he wasn't allowed to go into the promised land because he had an attitude problem. He messed up.
Now, I'm not a religious person, right? So I'm not going to go into the theology behind this, but, you know, that's not my thing, right? So if you want to believe that Trump was sent by God, have at it. That's on you.
One time, you know, so hopefully that helps answer a little bit. We can go deeper that if you want, but that's kind of a surface level answer.
I want to interject something here.
Ridiculous.
I think that we have control to a certain point. I don't think we have full control over everything. There's still rogue actors out there. People are going to.
Who is this we, by the way? Like, who is this we? Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who the we is in this, right? Is he talking about the United States? Is he talking about QAnon? Is he talking about some shadowy organization behind the United States? I mean, who's this guy talking about? I don't know who we is.
Make decisions. I think that we have control over some of the media, and I think that stuff is leaked out. It's got to be controlled release, right? Because it would put 99% of the people in the hospital.
Yep.
So a lot of people say that President Trump's assassination attempt was staged. I don't believe that.
Man, he just put out a lot of word salad right there. That fuck. I said I'm losing brain cells as this goes on and on and on. I started losing brain cells because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to understand where these people are coming from. And a lot of what they're saying is complete fucking nonsense. And so trying to figure out what somebody means by what they're saying when it's absolute fucking nonsense, trying to figure out what the motivation is behind what this person's saying when it's complete fucking nonsense is just insanity. So I have to do all kinds of mental gymnastics in my own head to figure out what the mental gymnastics are that these people are doing inside their own head. Well, let me listen to a little bit of that again, dude, because I mean, as brain dead as this is, I am kind of curious.
I think that we have control over some of the media.
Again, in order to figure out, to argue any of this case, I have to know what he means by we. What does he mean by we? We have control over some of the media. What does that mean? Like, is he talking about like Facebook changing paths and going into, more of a freedom of information? X, Twitter turning into X, becoming more of a free place for thought. What are we talking about here? Who is we?
And I think that stuff is leaked out. It's got to be controlled release, right? Because it would put 99% of the people in the hospital.
Okay. That's where I'm like, what are we talking about? What are you talking about? Like, I don't even think you know what you're talking about. You're talking like Biden at this point. So yeah, controlled release, I get that, right? They're going to leak things little by little. The Epstein stuff, they're going to leak little by little. I would not be surprised if right before the midterms, we get a huge release of Epstein stuff, finding out that people are on that list that are actually running for offices. Controlled release, yeah, okay. What 99% of the people be in the hospital? What are we talking about? What is that? What are you talking about, bro?
Yep. So a lot of people say that President Trump's assassination attempt was staged. I don't believe that.
Who would do that? Like, that's ridiculous. Like, who would stage their own assassination attempt? That's this must have been filmed, or this live stream must have been done shortly after that happened, because I think at this point, I think it's pretty obvious that it was not staged. Was it staged as far as the person who shot him was not who they say he is? I mean, I guess you could say there's stuff like that out there that could be possible. But as far as it being staged, dude was shot. He's shot in the ear, dude. And the fact that he was, hit that close to his brain, I don't think that's staged. I don't think he hired somebody to shoot the bottom of his ear off. I really don't. I don't think anybody did that. I think that was actually a attempt on his life, and that was, a legitimate attempt on his life. Who was behind it? Who knows?
At all whatsoever.
No.
I think that was God intervened in that because he is chosen.
Now, if there is a God, I would believe that too. That God would intervene in something like that, because that what was it, 3 millimeters away, and he's done. That's crazy. That was crazy. He turned right at the right time to where, yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely crazy. Now, I'm not a religious person, but yeah, I would believe that too if I was into that. If I was a spiritual person.
To save this nation.
Now, whether to save the nation or not, I don't know, man. But I don't know.
So I'm kind of with you on that. I know some of my peeps out there are full control. I think it is to a certain point. I think that Trump has all the information, and
I don't think anybody's in full control. There may be some like crazy shadow government thing going on. The Epstein files could be correct. The whole thing with the Illuminati being in the Epstein files, that could be correct. There could be a shadowy organization out there that is kind of running the government through certain forms of coercion, such as Epstein, stuff like that. Epstein could have been a small player in a bigger plot, whatever. I think that's possible. But what do you mean by full control? We are in full control. He keeps saying this, we are in full control. I don't know who he's talking about when he says this, we are in control. I think within these organizations, you're always going to have other organizations and stuff like that. I don't think anybody's ever going to be in full control of everything. I just don't think it's possible.
And he can direct things.
And Putin is not in the Epstein files. So what Putin is doing, I don't think is part of that full control.
As he needs to, but having everybody under control, I mean, I don't believe that either. I think it's to a certain point.
Yeah, try to control 5 kids in my house.
Right, exactly.
And that's probably the best point this guy's ever going to make in his life is, try to control 5 kids in your house and see what happens. Yeah.
I mean, that's my
I think that made the point perfectly. So that was the smartest thing this guy said.
First thought, it's like, okay, you think that they have control over this entire earth and 9 billion people, and they can find out every tunnel that every single person's in and every gadget that they have to use against us? Oh no. It's like the weather manipulation folks are talking about. Yeah, what about the weather manipulation? I mean, if he had a button he could push for every single person in like on a video game and just go and start shooting them all out, okay, then yeah, we're talking about full control. But no, I mean, like you said there with the whole thing with the assassination attempt, I've watched so many videos of his ear, they turns to the right and boom, you got that scrape that goes right across his ear. That's not AI generated, number one. Number two, people were killed there. They died.
Right.
And the other thing is, how come the media went hush hush? They showed up all of a sudden. The media showed up one day for his whole speech that day out of all days because they were looking forward to what they were told behind the scenes. This is the day. And then that happens. And the next thing you know.
This just drives me nuts, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I can't even pay attention to what this guy's saying because I just keep seeing this patriot. Oh, it's just driving me nuts. It drives me fucking nuts, man. To put yourself on that level, to try to put yourself on the level of a guy who walked away from his home and his family to fight the British Army. Wow.
But what do? They squash it and they don't want to talk about it. And they don't want to, all the proof is coming out that it wasn't from that one kid, that there were some things happening behind the scenes on the water tower. And the more we start digging, then people are coming to us.
Water tower, there we go. Good old Hoover and his bullshit.
Saying, hey, do you guys have the information? Because we know we can't trust the mainstream media. We're just trying to do the best we can to gather what everybody else is gathering. And then we're like, okay, let's piece this together and get it out to the people to say, look, let me show you what's going on. Let me show you why this doesn't add up. What do you guys think? And it gets us to think about these things. Man, imagine if we would have had this for 9/11. The ability to communicate with each other in social media and go, hold on a second.
You did have social media in 9/11, bro. Like, I believe, right? Didn't we have Facebook back then? Didn't we have shit, we might even had MySpace back then. Yeah. What are we talking about? I think. Well, you know what? 9/11, let's see. I don't remember, right? Wasn't that the time when yeah, well we definitely had MySpace. So yeah, we did have social media. We didn't have this YouTube, this fancy, live streaming and stuff like that, but we did have social media.
Because I fell for the whole thing. All I had was the media.
Yep.
That's all I had. And so I believed everything they told me. And I was like, all behind, let's go. We're going to go attack them. They attacked our country. Let's go. And man, now that I know more and more of the truth, and even President Trump alludes to that, yeah, something strange about that 9/11.
Yeah, we forgot about 9/11 files, right? Like we never, JFK, MLK, which we haven't gotten, but all this stuff we're asking for, even the Epstein stuff, right? Nobody's asked for 9/11 stuff. Like the media hasn't mentioned it. Nobody's mentioned it. These guys just did. But yeah, why aren't we asking for all the 9/11 files get released? Like everything. Just dump everything out there. Excuse me. That's interesting. Just thought about that. Yeah, why aren't we asked about? And 9/11 is alluded to in the Epstein files, which was weird. That's been coming out the last couple of days. I don't know how legit it is, but supposedly somebody asked Ghislaine Maxwell to be on the 9/11 commission, some secret 9/11 commission. I forget what they called it. But and then a couple days after 9/11, they asked her, "Where is the real pilot?" Interesting stuff. But that could be alluding to something else, though, because all it asked was, "Where's the real pilot?"
We need to get to the bottom of that. He's really careful.
It didn't say anything about 9/11 in that actual email. It just said, "Where's the real pilot?" But the yeah, her being asked to be on some commission was actually very interesting. Which could be something like this, right? Could be as innocuous as something like this, right? Some people within government entities, or even minor players within the government, may have decided to do their own little forum where they decide to talk about 9/11 and see what people like Ghislaine Maxwell knew about 9/11, because Ghislaine Maxwell, we all know, well, they say her father was Mossad and stuff like that. And we don't know what kind of intel she had, because connected to Epstein. Epstein was connected to everybody, and maybe she had some information they wanted, or they wanted to see if she did.
About how he talks about it, but he knows what's going on. He knows what happened. But can he just come out and go, guys, I want to tell you all the truth. We're going to lay it out today, and we're going to spend 10 hours.
Okay, so did he just allude to Trump knowing everything?
That, yeah, something strange about that 9/11. Yeah, we need to get to the bottom of that. He's really careful about how he talks about it, but he knows what's going on. He knows what happened. But can he just come out and go, guys, I want to tell you all the truth. We're going to
Who are we talking about? We're talking about Trump, I'm guessing.
Let me show you why this doesn't add up. What do you guys think? And it gets us to think about these things. Man, we didn't have, imagine if we would have had this for 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
The ability
Absolutely.
to communicate with each other in social media and go, hold on a second. Because I fell for the whole thing. All I had was the media.
Yep.
That's all I had. And so I believed everything they told me. And I was like, all behind, let's go. We're going to go attack them. They attacked our country. Let's go. Man, now that I know more and more of the truth, and even President Trump alludes to that, yeah, something strange about that.
Okay, so this is all talking about Trump.
9/11. Yeah, we need to get to the bottom of that. He's really careful about how he talks about it, but he knows what's going on. He knows what happened.
Does he though? Does he really? You think Trump is cued in on, for lack of a better term, is up on everything the government's ever done, or that foreign governments have even done? I mean, if 9/11, let's say, for shits and giggles, because I don't know if I believe it, but 9/11 was an inside job, I think President Trump would know. You think the CIA and the FBI are telling President Trump everything? You think President Trump just like rummages through files looking to see what's going on with 9/11? No, I don't think so. I think there's a lot being hidden from him. I think he knows what he needs to know.
But can he just come out and go, guys, when we tell you all the truth, we're going to lay it out today, and we're going to spend 10 hours and tell you everything. He can't do that.
No, absolutely not.
No.
They got Trump as like this all-seeing deity figurehead, and I don't think that's the truth. I don't think you become president and somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, aliens exist, and 9/11 was an inside job, and JFK was killed by the CIA, and all this sort of shit." I don't think that happens. I don't think that happens. I don't think that's a thing.
So, go ahead.
No. Our Rumble link is here to our channel.
Yeah, thank you. Need to talk to real AF patriot.
But let's get back to the original point to all of this.
That's on my bucket
This
list.
operation was to wake up the masses to the corruption. So when it comes time, as you are witnessing today, to drain the swamp, the people will be on his side, rooting him on. This was not possible in 2017. Can you see it now?
Of course. Well, okay. Yeah. It's a nonsensical statement, but yeah. Everybody was all for draining the swamp in 2016 when he got, but yeah, what he's saying is it wasn't possible. He's trying to say it wasn't possible for him to do it in 2017, but obviously because his AG, his head of the military, I think in 2017 he was still head of the military. Yeah, these people were not good. They were part of that system. Everybody behind him in that whole, we're even finding out Steve Bannon, who was one of his advisors, and who's been this right-wing talking point for a long period of time. We're finding Steve Bannon was in the Epstein files. And, if half of that shit is true, bro, like he's been surrounded by these people forever. And they're not good people.
Why it had to be this way. Q post 4951.
Oh God, more Q posts. 2020. So this is 2020. Shall we play a game? Nothing can stop what is coming. Who stepped down today? Was forced to step down. I don't know. In that time frame. More coming. Why is this relevant? I remember these posts. Why is this relevant? He used to always say that. Why is this relevant? So it's up to you to figure out the relevance behind these things. And it's pretty good psychological tactic, man. Make you come up with your own conclusion, but I'm going to lead you to the conclusion I want you to come up with. But once you come up with it, you're going to believe it was yours. Therefore, you're going to believe it, because you came up with it, not me. I just led you down the path to come up with it. Let's see. So how do you show the public the truth? Okay, whatever. How do you safeguard U.S. elections post President of the United States? Okay, how do you remove foreign interference and corruption and install U.S.-owned voter ID laws and other safeguards, which is what he's kind of doing now. It had to be this way. Sometimes you just walk through the darkness before you see the light. Okay. Pretty innocuous. It had to be this way. Did it though?
This is a brief synopsis of what Q is. It's not really a deep dive into all the insane outs of all the Q posts. But I will give you a brief synopsis on how Anons come up with their decodes and who to decode in part 2.
Okay. I'm going to have to find part 2. And maybe mess with that a little bit. But dude, to be honest with you, man, this is a lot of brain rot. This whole thing was brain rot. I don't know, bro. There's a lot of like stringing things along to make them fit together that don't fit together, to take things out of context. And a lot of the QAnon stuff to me was so like like I said, the why is this relevant stuff, right? That's a good quote that he always uses. Why is this relevant? Why is this relevant? This happened. Why is it relevant? So you figure out, you come to the conclusion. And then some people came to some pretty wild conclusions. But the QAnon stuff talked in these weird riddles. And so people kind of came up with, so like when you talk in riddles, you can come up with your own conclusions to what those riddles mean, and you can eventually fit them into what is actually happening, whether they're originally intended for it or not. And that's kind of what it seemed like this whole video was about, was basically somebody, taking these QAnon posts and saying, look at what happened. Oh my God, this became true. But what about all the stuff that didn't? There's a ton of QAnon stuff that did not become true. And and I'm not going to go look through it because I'm not a 4chan kind of person, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. This somebody originally sent this to me saying this would red pill me, right? And because I'm not a full blown, diehard Republican or anything like that, or anything of that nature. But if I'm about as center as you can get at this point, and if this was not going to do really much of anything for me, because the problem is, I mean, in the beginning, he showed like the old QAnon, and it aged really poorly. It aged really poorly. It did not. Half of the shit they said was going to happen did not fucking happen. And that was the old QAnon stuff, right? That was one of this guy's older videos, I think, or somebody's older video that he was playing. And that was kind of evidence working against you. And then halfway through this, he showed a Hillary Clinton post about Hillary Clinton being arrested and detained, and that never happened. I mean, it never happened. So, and it still isn't even happening. And they refused to report to Congress for the Epstein stuff, and then they threatened to do that, and then they showed up, or they're supposedly showing up. I don't even know if that happened yet, but this stuff never happened. And so like it works against you. It completely works against the whole idea behind QAnon. QAnon, when it goes into specifics, it's wrong. But when it goes into generalities, people can place their truth behind it and make it work with what is going on. Kind of like how he said the media is no longer in control of the people. Well, the media started losing control when a lot of the abolish the police nonsense started happening, and the media started working against the public's best interests, and the people could see through that, because most people in society are going to be working in their own best interest and what's in their best interest. And generally what's in the best interest of people is not to abolish the police departments around the country. I mean, that's stupid, because the only people that want to abolish the police, the only people that want to defund the police were criminals, right? And so that was pretty much it. So you could go out there, find all the people that are saying abolish police, and you probably arrest them all, and you're probably going to find warrants on most of them, because that's the people who want to abolish that sort of thing. And it could be, there could be some paid opposition, which I think that's now happening. And I think that's what's happening now, is there could be some paid opposition out there that is actually, being funded to do this sort of thing and being paid to be professional protesters. I think that's absolutely happening to some degree. I don't know how large of a degree. I think in 2020 it was easy for them because everybody just wanted to get out of their fucking house. Everyone was tired of COVID and shit. So a lot of people wanted to get out of their house. So the BLM stuff was allowing you to go out and just do stupid shit, and kids are, locked down. Yeah, they got a lot of energy. And I think the Antifa thing was the same thing. It was just a kind of a the COVID stuff created a perfect storm for them to be able to get away with that. But then now you look at these crowds, you look at like Portland and stuff like that. There's only like a handful of people left there, dude. It's dead. You're never going to see what you saw in 2020 because, like I said, it was a perfect storm, you know? And so now it seems like all you got is paid opposition out there, and they can't get anybody on their side. So for like the ICE protests and stuff like that, you have a little bit of a growing audience for that. But you know, even in out here in California, you have schools shutting down, and you know, or walkouts. They're not shutting down, but you have walkouts happening, and students are going out there, and that's, you know, to me, that's horrific and that's sad when you take your children and you make your children your shield against something, you know, because at that point, what are the cops going to do, man? Like, what can you really do about that? You can't go and shoot a bunch of tear gas into crowds of kids. You know, that would be just horrific. That would be horrible. And the outlook on that would be just terrible. And what are you going to do? You go tackle them and arrest them? You're going to have these big grown men fucking tackling these fucking kids out of elementary schools? No, it's fucked up. So, you know, that whole thing is just fucked up, what's going on. But they're desperate. They need people to, so they're somehow organizing these kids, and I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're getting away with it, but somehow organizing these kids, because kids are willing to walk out of school. No problem, dude. I would have done it back in the day. Fuck yeah, dude. Give me a free day off school, man, and go hang out with my friends out in some park somewhere, throw shit at the police. Yeah, man. When I was a kid, that was the thing to do. But that would have been a thing to do. But it's fucked up, man. It's fucked up when you take the kids, and that's another thing that just pisses me off. You take these kids and you make them your shield against you know, these police. That is just, that's not right, man. Homeschool your kids, man. Get them out of these schools, man, because these are fucking horrible for them. These are just destroying their brains. And this QAnon stuff, man, this is just brain rot, dude. It's total fucking brain rot. So I think I'm done with this. I think I'm out of here. I'm done ranting, man. This is just frustrating as shit. But again, if you're not in the military, don't call yourself fucking patriot. If you're not currently fighting in Afghanistan, don't call yourself fucking patriot. If you're not, you know, if you didn't shoot musket balls at the British soldiers because you wanted to create a new America that you didn't even know what the hell was going to be, don't call yourself a patriot. Just don't do it, man, because that word used to mean something. And when you start fucking with words like that, you know, you're just taking it away from people who earned it. And that sucks. But I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Have fun with the outro. I got to make a new one of these days. And I will.
Dude, pointed stick.
Pointed stick. Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick.
Pointed stick?
Pointed stick.
Whoa, pointed stick.
That pointed stick.
Pointed stick!
Stick. We don't have any time for your trolling behavior on this channel. It just isn't welcome here. And so, good riddance to you.